Joining us now to discuss all of it, former Deputy Director of National Intelligence Kash Patel, who is on the board of Trump Media, along with Fox News contributor and SiriusXM Patriot host David Webb, and Fox News contributor Charlie Hurt. Gentlemen, welcome to one and all. Kash, to you first. This was a win because this bond size was more than cut in half. But I'm going to call this what it is. This is legal warfare. I don't like lawfare because it doesn't get to the abuse of our judicial system and the war against President Trump that it is. And the left is doing everything in their power to deprive this man of an ability to, well, be a free man, but also run for the presidency by locking up his assets.
Well, that's just it, and thanks for having me. Look, whether they want to restrict his movements by putting him in a jury system in state or federal court and off the campaign trail, or whether they want to financially cripple his ability to go out and campaign presidentially and raise money and utilize his own funds to participate in that process, the deep state, the radical left two-tier system of justice doesn't care as long as it, quote-unquote, sidelines Donald Trump. And so what you saw today was a piece of a very small piece of a restorative process of the Constitution to a bond size that got reduced, and I think it should be reduced even further. But what most people are forgetting is that this case is still on appeal, and the other case that's set for trial, they just dumped 135,000 documents on President Trump's attorneys weeks ago. And as a former federal public defender, we're not talking about a weeks-long delay in any other case. That's a months-long delay, and I think we haven't heard the end of that trial date. I don't believe it's going to happen in mid-April.
Yeah, you know, David Webb, going back to this, the reduction of the bond issue, was the appeal court, were they looking at justice and saying we want to set a bond amount that Donald Trump can post so he can preserve his right for appeal? Or was the appellate court actually saying we want to save the Democrat Party from Fani Willis seizing Donald Trump's assets and making sure this is not a political liability for Democrats and a win for Donald Trump? What happened here today?
You know what? We'll may never know what's in their minds, unlike Judge Engoron, where we know exactly what's in his mind, or Letitia James. But I'm with Kash on this. You've got to step in the right direction. There is a process. Now, there's immense public pressure. Let's not ignore businesses, billionaires, major funds that are leaving New York and have been, but now see themselves as potentially victims of a vicious cycle in New York. You look at overseas investments coming into the state. Those are all the calculus. And judges, while we may not know what's in their minds, they're not immune to public knowledge and what's going on out there. It's a step in the right direction. As Kash said, there are other parts of the appeal underway, and we'll see what they do next. But if at any time they don't want to get Donald Trump elected, they need to get rid of these cases, because while they may try to hamper his election efforts and is spending his own money, the fact is they're giving him so much more in free media. What happened this morning? Donald Trump has commanded the media since the beginning of my show this morning, all the way through to where we are now and beyond into tonight's shows. And he'll command it again tomorrow. So they're actually, in a way, giving him a donation in kind by keeping him in the media with this unfair prosecution of a political candidate and a political opponent, not just to Joe Biden, but to the progressive left and those that would drag us down their vision of American Marxism.
Charlie, you're chuckling. I know what you're thinking, but you say it out loud.
No, it's true. I mean, I flipped over to all the other commie channels today, and they were all having to eat this sandwich. They were carrying all of it live. Trump was up there doing his thing, and it was just masterful. And I guarantee you that even though, you know, you've got to be sort of demented to watch that stuff, to watch MSNBC, there are still some somewhat rational people who probably by habit continue to tune into that stuff. And when you listen to the arguments that Donald Trump was making today, he's going to win some of those people over. And as you pointed out earlier, obviously this was a spanking of Letitia James like we've never seen before. This was a humiliation, the likes of which we've never seen before. But still, $175 million is a lot of money for a bond. Well, by the way, where is he going to run off to? Is he going to grab Trump Tower, put it under his arm, and flee the country? He's the most famous person in the world. Where is he going to go hide? Why does he need a $175 million bond? Is he going to take one of his golf courses with him and run away? It makes no sense. Bernie Madoff built thousands of people out of tens of billions of dollars, left people penniless, and he had a $10 million bond. Donald Trump still, even after this humiliation of Letitia James, winds up with whatever, I can't do the math, you do the math, whatever it is, 10 times, 20 times as much for Donald Trump for a crime in which no one was bilked. Everybody that he dealt with came back and wanted to deal with him some more.
Yeah, no doubt about that. It was a slapdown, spanking, whatever you want to call it. It was a rough day for Letitia James today. But like Letitia, Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis, she's stopping at nothing to take down Donald Trump. Even an exposed love affair with her now former lead prosecutor, Nathan Wade. An embarrassing testimony won't get in the way of her attempt to derail Trump's reelection. Watch this.
I don't feel like my reputation needs to be reclaimed. Let's say it for the record. I'm not embarrassed by anything I've done. All while that was going on, we were writing responsive briefs. We were still doing the case in the way that it needed to be done. I don't feel like we've been slowed down at all. I do think that there are efforts to slow down this train, but the train is coming.
You know, I think that's a good point. The train is coming, Kash. She'll stop at nothing. She wants to have this case heard before the November election. She's said that. And it's kind of consistent with what you mentioned before, which is a document dump of 50,000 plus documents on Donald Trump's hush money case. And they give him a month to review those documents. Not just review them, but you may want to investigate off of those documents. But they're like, no, we're not going to give you more time. We're going to make sure you go to trial so we have convictions before the election. What say you, Kash?
Well, that's just it. They don't care about the appellate record. Right. These people don't even care about the appellate process or the Constitution. They're in a race to utilize the two-tier system of justice to convict Trump so that they can go out there and publicly say they were the ones that did it during the campaign cycle. And they know all the illegalities and unconstitutional tactics that they are deploying right now will not be heard on appeal until next year or the year after at the earliest. So when she says the train is coming, the train of injustice is coming. And what is her money train going to continue? Is she going to continue to profit off of her prosecution of Donald Trump unconstitutionally? What are we going to learn when the text message and emails between her and her lover and her staff are actually released? What are we going to find out about their biases and what they did and what evidence they've hidden from the defense on this case? They say they're producing documents late, for example, just because they're been recently found. But what they care about is putting Donald Trump in their judicial box in the state of Georgia or New York or elsewhere and being the guy or gal that got to a conviction for President Trump. And what I think America is learning from Donald Trump's expose every single time there is an unconstitutional, unethical issue in any one of these cases, that this two-tier system of justice is real. This two-tier system of justice is being driven by a radical left agenda, and it is being overly politicized and weaponized to do one thing: come after everyday Americans. And the only man standing in the way is Donald Trump. So when Fani Willis's train hits the juggernaut of justice that is Donald Trump, it's going to explode.
While Trump is fighting his legal battles in court, Biden's team is wasting no time using it against him on the campaign trail. Here is what his re-election campaign co-chair said over the weekend.
People can take note that Donald Trump is out on bail right now, and he's trying to find bond. And while we're talking about how he's going to do that, people should not forget the reason why he's out on bail is because he has 88 federal criminal indictments pending against him. Point is, Joe Biden's out there actually governing and battling well and raising money and hitting his marks, and Donald Trump is sitting in his basement looking for nickels.
David, Mitch also went on to talk about how Biden is showing up every day trying to help people and trying to lift people up. Biden is not helping a damn soul. He has done nothing but rain financial hardship and misery on the American people. So try and go out and message that, please, sir.
Well, you know, Charlie, I'm going to take one for the team and watch the commie networks tonight and see if he comes back on. Because when he did that, it was 454 million, and now it's 175.
Yeah.
But the train that they see coming is because they have only one track. They have to go after Trump, and if they get through Trump, they go to the American people next, or American business. So they're going to keep pushing this lie. Fannie Willis was never going to go away. And yes, I said Fannie, not Fonnie. You can play with that however you want. Letitia James is not going to go away. They are bound and determined to get rid of any opposition. Now, Biden and barnstorming, you know, AP and Reuters and all the others that are in the tank are trying to make it seem as if, well, you know, Trump's playing golf and he's hanging out at the course, or he's sequestered in Mar-a-Lago, and now Biden is he's barnstorming through all the battleground states because he's got all this vigor and energy, and he's doing the hop and the skip and the little shuttle. The fact is that Biden shows up at empty community centers, he shows up at empty offices, and the people just aren't buying it from Biden anymore, because unless he's buying their votes with unconstitutional giveaways at our expense with the student debt relief and other things, he's not going to get them. But look, Biden's going to keep going. They're going to keep writing the narrative. And you, America, you're living your reality. You're over 20% more than you were in 2021 to exist. It's almost 12,000 a year now, new numbers on what it costs the average family to live it as they did then. Is your reality what Joe Biden's telling you, or what, frankly, Donald Trump? And look, if you don't love Trump, look at the Republican platform versus the Democrat leftist pseudo-Marxist platform, and the people like Letitia James, who are Working Families Party candidates, who tell you on their website they're not Democrats, but they run as Democrats, and in fact, they're worse than Democrats. They're leftist progressives / pseudo-communists.
I'm going with pseudo-communists. But Charlie, we shouldn't be surprised because the media is following right along with Biden's playbook. The Associated Press is one of the strongest influences in the media, and its stories get picked up and shared by countless other media outlets across the country. They released a story entitled, quote, "As Biden tours the country and visits swing states, Trump is fundraising and playing golf," which is a headline. A headline like that is implying that Biden's working hard and Trump isn't working at all. But what about when Biden was at the beach just 15 days after the terror attack in Israel? Right. Or when Biden was going for a bike ride this last summer, just days after the Maui wildfires? It seems like even the Associated Press, Charlie, is playing politics for Joe Biden, a guy who ran his campaign in the basement in 2020 and appears by all stretches that he's running the campaign from the basement right now. But they want to present it like something else to the American people.
Well, honestly, Sean, I think that that's one of the reasons that all these court cases wind up helping Trump, because it injects news, like real news, real events, into every day. And then suddenly the people like at the Associated Press, they're not able to sort of spin their stupid yarns out of whole cloth and make up stuff like they're used to doing, because suddenly there's real news and people flip on the TV and they see it, and they can see they see the clips go viral of the stuff that Donald Trump says, and it almost sort of overtakes whatever narrative they're trying to control, which kind of blows up in their face. But to me, the real thing that's going on here is that Donald Trump successfully reformed the federal judiciary by putting constitutionalist judges on the courts everywhere from the Supreme Court on down. And he did it better than any Republican has ever done it. And Democrats are so angry about that. They want to destroy the judiciary and destroy every hint of credibility in the federal judiciary all the way down. And that's why they're using the courts, they're using their own prosecutors to go after President Trump in all these cases. I think it's obviously they want to go after Trump, but there's another thing here, which is they're trying to destroy the credibility of the third branch of government now that Donald Trump has successfully made significant reforms to it. And I really do think that's how dark this is. That's how evil these people are. But they don't care. They will do anything to win.
Charlie Hurt, you're the best. You too, David Webb and Kash Patel. Gentlemen, a tip of my non-existent hat to all three of you.
Thank you, gents. We appreciate it.